Okay, let's begin. Because the rest are not here, obviously. So, these students. All right. So, those who have done the online work are Caden, Enlak, Zixuan, and Galvin, and Ziqi as well. But Ziqi is not here yet. So, all of you who are here, you've done your online work. Fantastic. Good job. Now, let's begin. What are we looking at today? Boys, today we are looking at formal letter writing. Okay. And we are also going to look at features of proposals. Now, I do realize that for secondary school, there are a lot of different formats that you have to remember. But in case there's any doubt as to how you should be writing your situational writing, right? Refer back to that useful document I gave you all, I think last week. Look at that. It has all the correct formatting for you, like formal letter, how many addresses you need. Should you put a date or not, right? Should you have a title and stuff like that? It's all within the document. Refer back to it. If you can't find it, go find it. All right. But I'll send it again later when there are more people back online here, just in case. Because I want you guys to have a look at it before you go for your paper one exams. So you know exactly the format that you should be taking in order to answer that type of question. So we have a few more students joining us. Hi, Varun. Welcome to the class. So Varun is here. Hi, Varun. And there's John Rebecca. Hi, Varun. I don't see John Rebecca in my attendance list. Is this David? Is that you, David? Oh yes, that's David. It's like, okay, can you change your name back to the original, please? Thank you. Because I was like, what's happening? Who's that? Okay, and then we'll have a look at some some current affairs as well today. Okay, let's have a go. So remember, boys, turn on your videos at all times and mute your microphone. If you need to talk, please use the raise your hand function on Zoom. Wait for me to give permission and then you can unmute yourself. If you need to go to the toilet, you don't need to wait for me to give permission. Just inform me using the chat function, Mr. Joel, I will need to go to the toilet and then come back as soon as possible. Okay? And when you are away, please remember to leave your video on so that I know and can keep tabs about where you went to, right? If not, I have no idea whether you went to the toilet for like an hour or whatever. So always keep your video on. Use the chat function to ask questions, answer questions, and share feedback. And ultimately, remember to be respectful to your fellow students and May. Let's begin. We're looking at situational writing, formal letter first today. Here comes the T. All right, moving on. So, as we all know, a formal letter and an informal letter, right? There's a world of difference, okay? We write formally not because we are afraid of that person or because that person, has more power or is richer than us or whatever. We write formally primarily because we don't know that person very well. And if we write informally, right, there's a high chance we might offend that person, or that person might take something that we say as an insult. Therefore, when we write formally, we never use expressions like similes or metaphors or proverbs and idioms, that kind of thing. We avoid using all of that. And the language we use is always very precise so that when the person reads it, there's no room for misunderstanding, or rather, there's less room for misunderstanding because you have to spell everything out very clearly. The words you use are very clear and very obvious what you want from that person, but at the same time, you can be polite. All right. So that's why sometimes we have to write formally. We don't know the person very well. Welcome to the class, Titi. So imagine that you have to write a formal letter with this situation. Your exam is over. Your teacher has seen a web page and is planning an outing for the class. Very exciting, right? I love outings when I'm in secondary school. And you know what? You're the class chairperson. So this is really important information. Who are you writing as, right? Sometimes you're not writing as a student, but in this case, you are writing as a student. So imagine that imagine, of course, you are a student, but imagine that you're the class chairperson. So what would that mean? That would mean that class chairpersons have meetings with the teachers sometimes. Class chairpersons have to do extra stuff after everyone goes back from school. They might have to meet with the prefects. Maybe they will go for some leadership workshops and stuff like that. And the person that the teacher looks for when something happens in class is a class chairperson, especially when there's trouble, right? And then your teacher would go like, David, what happened in the class? How come Zixuan got punched? What happened? Then David said, oh no, they were just play fighting, then Zixuan fell and then hit his eye. You sure? Because Zixuan looks like his eye got punched, you know? Then David will explain, oh no, actually this is what happened. Then first person I look for is the class chairperson, right? So you are so-called the in charge, all right, and you need to be in charge of upkeeping the discipline of your class as well, right? So you are a person with responsibility. That's why the teacher picked you in the first place. So what have you been asked to do by your teacher? You are to suggest possible venues for the outing on behalf of the class. The outing must be enjoyable and educational for your class. Okay? Because that's the thing. When you go on an outing, right, you might think, hi, why can't we just do an enjoyable one? Well, guess what? Who's paying for your outing? Mostly it's the school, right? Where does the school get the money from? Ministry of Education. What's the Ministry of Education supposed to do? Education. So can your teacher justify an outing to a place that's just enjoyable? Guys, let's go and play laser tag. Everybody, let's grab a gun and shoot. Can they do that? They can't, obviously. So it needs to be enjoyable and educational. That's why all the places you go to, right, there must be some education going on over there because you need to show that the money you spent from MOE was worth it and there was a purpose to it. Okay, and you'll realize that it's true from Sec 1 to Sec 5. And when you go to JC, if you're in a public JC, it's the same thing as well. It must be educational. It's not that your teacher doesn't want to bring you to Sentosa and go and play volleyball or whatever, right? But there must be an educational component. That's why. All right. So, you have been tasked to do this. All right. And over here, I know you might not think about it. I know when you read this, right, you might not think too much, but this is very important as well, on behalf of the class. So when you are writing your letter, right, to your teacher, can you just say, oh, I was the one who picked this? Yeah, because I think it's very enjoyable and educational. So I picked for the class. Your teacher will be like, did you ask the rest of the students? It's not just you, right? There are other people you have to consider as well. So in order to show that you have that responsibility and that you have that leadership potential, please let your teacher also know that you actually checked with your classmates before you came up with these suggestions about which ones the class can go for. All right. So this isn't even the official website that we're looking at. This is just the situation. And immediately you realize there are actually some really important factors that you need to consider. Who you are. All right, this one is what your responsibility is, or rather, who you owe your responsibility to, right? And over here, what is this? Enjoyable and educational. This is reasons. You must have elements of enjoyment and education for you to make those suggestions. All right. So these are all really important information. Don't miss it. because your teacher will write it as a paragraph like that. And if you read too quickly, you might just miss this kind of crucial information. Same goes for your exams, same goes for your tests. The moment you see situational writing in paper one, this paragraph is more important than you think it is. All right. And the worst thing is they don't bold or underline or highlight the areas that are important. They just give you the entire paragraph. Most of the information there might not be relevant, but if you miss that one tiny bit of information, right, your entire writing, right, is gone. Okay. And remember, in secondary school, your situational writing is exactly the same mark weightage as your composition. It's 30 marks. All right. Don't, don't, don't take this lightly. So this is what you need to do. And normally, if you follow the point forms given to you like this, after your situation paragraph, they will give you these point forms of what you can write, right? So if you follow these, okay, if you use this as a rough guide for how you plan your paragraphs, that's fine, okay? But the devil is in the details, okay? And that actually means if you want to score really, really well, like you want to go above 25 upon 30, you can't just base your paragraph on this and think that you will score well. This is not primary six anymore, okay? You need to go into the deep details, even details, right, that are not provided in the website. You can create them now. I know in primary school that your teachers tell you, just use whatever details you can find in the poster or in the whatever that they give you, right? Just use it from there and then you'll be fine. That's true. Secondary school, no longer. You have to make up your own stuff as well. And over here, you immediately can see that because, look, you suggest two venues from the web page that they give you. And you have to suggest two venues other than those shown in the web page. You have to come up with your own suggestions on places that you know that can be educational and enjoyable at the same time for your teacher's consideration. See, it's very obvious from the points here that you can't just rely on the web page. You have to come up with other stuff and you have to justify. You have to say why. Okay, why is it educational? Why is it enjoyable as well? And lastly, also tell your teacher why you think the class outing should be held at one of the venues that you have chosen. Look at this. One of the venues that you have chosen, be very careful with this, that you have chosen. What did it say just now? It says on behalf of the class, right? So remember to tell your teacher how you arrived at the decision. Okay. Importantly, remember to say that you asked for everyone's opinions. You didn't just choose this yourself because you like it. You're doing it for the class, not for yourself. Okay. And if you write that, the teacher will definitely be more open to what you're writing, isn't it? So that they know that, oh, okay, you represent the whole class well. It's not just you. Okay. Sometimes though, I'm not sure whether you all have done like group work before. How many of you have done group work and then you found it very hard to get people to agree? How many of you have that kind of issue? Zixuan, thank you for being honest. Anyone else have that issue? Like you find it difficult for people in the group to agree to do something? Ziqi as well, definitely. Right? It can be quite difficult. Galvin as well. Yeah. So okay, sometimes when it comes to situations like that, it's really a majority wins kind of thing. Because your class has like 30 plus students, right? Get everyone to vote. Just give them a few places, get everyone to vote, and then right, if you don't like it, no choice, right? Because most people want to go there. Yield to the majority. That's what happened in the presidential elections, isn't it? Same thing. Majority wins, right? Everyone voted for, most people voted for Taman, right? But there were people who voted for the other two presidential candidates as well. But in the end, only one person gets to be the president. That's the same thing in life, everywhere. From your group work all the way to selecting our president, majority wins. So, yeah. Okay. So write your letter in clear, accurate English, enthusiastic, appreciative tone, which will